Hi, Domenica here from easysewingforbeginners.com. Just like to share with you some of the things that I would include if I was making a sewing kit for a beginner. So if you're going into a store or if you're buying things online, these are the things that you'd want to put on your list to buy. So we're going to start with your thread. So I usually just use polyester thread, and to start off with you might like to get a couple of shades of grey, and then adding maybe a black and a cream on the end there. But even just to start off with, especially if you're just doing crafty projects, even just these three types of grey in the middle here should probably cater for most of the colours of fabric that you'll be using. And then if you're doing a special project, you can get a thread to match. You need some hand needles for hand sewing. Now I find in a pack like this, you'll get a different range and assortment of needles with different size eyes. So if you can find a pack like this, that'd be quite handy. Pins, you can get a container of pins, and the ones with the little round plastic heads should be fine. It's amazing how many different kinds of pins there are out there, but these ones should be useful for most crafting projects. Now this one here, it's probably not essential, but it's the handiest little tool that I've got. This was actually a present. It's a mechanical chalk pencil. So you can use it for tracing patterns or drawing on your fabric. If you're doing embroidery, where you can draw your picture on your fabric first with this pencil and then go over it, and then it's got a eraser on the end that can rub it off. I use the green chalk because I find it shows up nicely on a light or a dark fabric, so it's very versatile. They cost you a little bit, maybe about the $15 mark, but it's definitely worth the investment for what it does and how helpful it is. Now a sewing gauge is something that I use quite a lot now, and if I had it from the beginning I would use it in nearly everything that I do. So you could use it as just a small general ruler, and it has a gauge here if you need to measure certain distances for where you're placing things, especially if you're doing applique. You need to measure the distance between where your applique is going, say to the edge of your fabric, so they are quite handy. Quick unpick, we don't really like to do any unpicking, but sometimes you just have to do it, and a quick unpick is an essential part of a sewing kit, so a very worthwhile investment. A pair of snips, I love these things. These are quite handy for snipping little bits of thread, and because they're so small and you can just squeeze them in between your fingers, you can get right up close. You don't have to use awkward scissors when you're trying to snip those threads, and they don't take up much space, so you can keep them next to you, keep them next to your sewing machine if you need to do any snipping of those threads. Scissors. Now for my scissors, I have two pairs of scissors. I have a pair of scissors that I use for cutting fabric only, and I have another pair of scissors for all-purpose type cutting, so fabrics, stabilizers. If I'm doing applique, I'd use that to cut out, especially if it's got fabric attached, paper attached to the fabric, I'd use these scissors for that. Now the reason why I have two pairs of scissors is if you use your fabric scissors to cut paper, it will make them dull very quickly, and when you go to cut fabric it might make it fray a lot quicker and pull. So you want to have separate fabric scissors so it cuts the fabric nicely. Now I'd recommend you get a tape measure. Even if you're doing mostly craft sewing, a tape measure is quite handy. Saying if you want to make a cover for your book, sometimes you can get the tape measure and just use that to measure quite easily, rather than having to use something else, maybe a solid straight ruler. Now if you're doing say more quilting type sewing, I would definitely recommend you get a rotary cutter, especially one has a built-in safety. This one's a 45mm rotary cutter and they're quite common. A ruler, and on the bottom here you'll see my cutting mat. Now if you get a cutting mat, I'd recommend getting an 18 by 24 inch cutting mat, and that'd probably be the smallest that I would go. Okay, and my ruler is a 24 inch ruler as well, so it's about the same length as the cutting mat. And the reason why I'd go this size is usually with your quilting type fabrics, it usually comes folded in half, and it's usually about, when it's folded in half, it's about 22 inches wide. So this size cutting mat's perfect for cutting quilting fabric, especially when it's folded in half. Okay, so they're the basics that I would include in a sewing kit for beginners. If you can get these things online, I'll put a link either in the description box on YouTube or in my post on my website, so you can click on those and see how much they would cost you. If you have any questions, then feel free to leave them below. I'd love to hear from you, and thanks for watching. Bye.
Okay, so we're going to do nutrition response testing. This is what it looks like. Okay, good. Pinky thumb tip to tip. Great. Body scan. Teeth, tonsils, thyroid, thymus, lungs, heart, spleen, stomach, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, intestines, small intestine, prostate, bladder, kidney, adrenal, kidney, adrenal. Okay, I'm going to go in priority mode. What do you have here going on? Okay, that and not that. So we found that the heart is Leo's priority today. Tonsils actually are strong. Okay, I'm going to see what is it that the heart needs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we already know it's one of the chemicals. Parotid is something that helps with chemicals. 3, 4. That's happy. Very happy heart. And very happy heart. This also helps with some chemicals. Let's see if you still want that. 2, 3. No. Okay. So we're going to take that off. Okay. And the tonsils are very happy. Great. 1, 2. That's good. That's good. And that's good. 1. That's good. I'm going to dose you. SP cleanse. 1 SP cleanse. Two parotid. Okay. Okay. And 1, 2, 1 cardio plus. You don't need a whole lot.
Left eye first.
So are they always different, left and right eye?
So different areas of the eyes, in each eye, I mean like different organs of the body.
Yeah,
so
okay.
in like your left eye, you have different organs come up in your left eye as they do into your right
Yeah,
eye.
okay.
So I'll just use the side light now. Just let me know if that gets too much. Okay, so you're a true blue eye colour.
Wouldn't have thought that.
I'll just have a look at this one as well. Start with your left eye again. Okay, so I'll do your right eye